With so many pixel-based games out there, it's hard to stand out, but there's a new one that tries to do just that called Pixel Heroes. But is this an adventure that's worth taking, or is this party wiped on the first battle? Pixel Heroes Byte Magic is a turn-based RPG with a little bit of roguelike elements. The game has you starting off in a tavern selecting from the randomly generated heroes in order to form a party of 3. You can even re-roll them to try to get better potential characters for your party. There's a decent amount of variety when it comes to the various races as well as the different classes. I was actually surprised at just how many classes there were, so picking out which ones you're going to want to use may take a little bit of time. After selecting your party, you then head off to the town where you get your first quest, and the quest lines are relatively simplistic. It's just basically going to a dungeon, exploring it, fighting a boss at the end, and then returning to claim the loot that the person was going to reward you with. The controls are a tad interesting. Instead of just moving using the joystick or D-pad, you actually move by hitting L2 and R2 while exploring the town. However, once you're on the main map or in dungeons themselves, it's auto-progressing. Your characters just walk to whatever the next point is or enter the next room when you're in the dungeon. Well, the menu system takes a bit getting used to. Thankfully, there's a help menu to kind of better explain all the different symbols, as the game uses a lot of them to signify different types of elemental damage and the different stats in general. I wish you could use the D-pad here instead of having to use the joystick, as I felt that would have been a little bit better for navigating them, but overall the control worked fine. After getting your mission, you head off onto the main map, where you'll walk to the next dungeon, meeting a few randomly generated events along the way. You'll usually get a few choices, whether or not you want to interact with the people that you meet along the side of the road, or whether or not you want to pick up certain objects or do different things, depending upon what type of random event is going on. And there are different things that could end up happening. You could end up being rewarded with some extra money and experience, given a free item, or end up in a battle where you'll have to deal with whatever enemies ended up appearing. When you make it to the dungeon, you get to set your final bit of equipment and heal up if you've taken any damage before leading up to the dungeon itself, and then you get to enter the first room. There's a total of 8 different rooms here, including the boss fight that you'll be facing at the end of the dungeon, and the rooms are random each time you make it to these dungeons. You'll either be fighting a group of monsters or dealing with some other random event, usually a treasure chest of some kind that is locked in one way, shape, or form. Either a sphinx is guarding it, so you need a character with high intelligence to get past the check, or it actually has a lock on it and you need to bash it open with a very strong character. You'll have to decide if you want to risk using one of your characters to try to disarm the trap or whatever it is on the chest, and you could potentially end up taking damage if you end up failing. The battles in the game consist of up to 3 monsters versus your party, and they're based in rows, so whoever's in the front is row 1, and whoever's in the back is row 3. And you can only attack certain other rows depending upon your type of weapon. So if you're using like a sword or an axe, you can only attack in the first row of whatever enemies you're facing. But if you're using magical spells or a bow, you can attack from a farther range. So you have to arrange your party accordingly. You're also not going to want to put like a priest or a healer in the front of your party. Of course, you're going to want something much stronger that's going to be able to take a few hits. Equipment in the game is pretty simple, with a helmet, body armor, 1 accessory, and then the 2 arms, and you can equip these whatever way you want to, either 2 weapons, or a weapon and a shield, or 2 spells. When you're attacking in battle, instead of just having attack, defend, and the like, you select which of the weapons or items that you want to use, and you're able to do so. Every character also has special moves depending upon what type of class they are that they can pull off, but then they have to wait till a certain number of turns pass before they're able to use those special abilities again. When you use one of your characters to attack, though, you have to wait for another turn to pass by before they can attack again, unless they're the only party member left. If 2 of your members of your party have been wiped out already and you only have 1 left, thankfully they can attack every turn. The game may start off relatively easy depending upon what type of characters you picked, but the difficulty will start to ramp up, especially with so many potential status effects that can come into play, weapons that can only hurt or really do much damage to certain types of enemies, as well as just the overall difficulty of the dungeons increasing the farther and farther you make it in. If members of your party are killed, you are able to resurrect them once you make it back to the town, but if your entire team is wiped, it's game over and you have to start over again from the beginning. Every battle you complete, you get experience and money and plenty of items, whether it be health potions or other random equipment that all have different names. Even though they may look the same, they end up being a slightly different version of it, with some funny and pun-filled names from time to time. And the game even has an entire tongue-in-cheek feel to it, with a bunch of pop culture references and the like thrown into the mix. With the quest lines and the types of dungeons you'll be doing randomly set up each time you end up playing, you'll have a different adventure each time. And if you're able to have a successful journey through the game, you'll also be able to unlock a harder scenario and then an even harder one after that if you're able to complete it. From the technical side of things though, the game ran smoothly. I didn't run any major glitching, crashing, or slowdown of any sort, and I also enjoyed the 8-bit soundtrack that went along with the adventure. Pixel Heroes Byte Magic is available now on the PS4, Xbox One, and Steam for $9.99, and if you're on the PS4, it does have a full trophy list including a Platinum. Overall, Pixel Heroes is one of those games that seems pretty simplistic, but there is a definite enjoyment factor, especially once you get the hang of the game overall. With everything said, I'm going to be giving Pixel Heroes a 7 out of 10. But anyway guys, that's going to wrap up this review. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course I hope you enjoyed.